All right, everybody, we are live. I'm here with James Harbal and Eric Manganaro at Superposition. We are talking about MegaCryptoPolis today, which is a very interesting game. I'm pretty excited about it. It's very much so like SimCity. How's everybody doing over there?
Hey.
Hey.
All right. Hey, Eric. Kind of want to give me your thoughts on this, like right off the bat here. I know we were freaking out about it on the stream, but I mean, I can pull it up here. You want me to share your screen or?
Yeah, I think it was during chat while we were doing the last stream. We had, I really want to bring people on from the chat room, and this is Morphers from, James came onto the channel and he's like, yo, have you seen this project? And I'm like, yeah, I'm all down with it. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, man. I mean, I'm like really excited to see what it's all about. I mean, we kind of threw this thing together for the last minute here, but hold on, let me pull up their main webpage. We'll get John in here, James in here, but MegaCryptoPolis.com is really where you go to access this, and it's just a MetaMask based game, so you can just go in here and log into it. But I'm probably gonna be handing it off to James here. So James, welcome to the stream, dude. Thanks for joining up, and I know you've been playing with this quite a bit, and you had some stats and kind of following here. Everybody can follow along. This should be attached in the description here, this little outline. But we're gonna start basically with, I guess, James, like, how did you find out about it? What's what do you think of it? What brought your attention to it? And I guess, like, how long have you been using it?
So hi, this is James. So I got into this game basically when it first came out publicly, which is only like 2 weeks ago, on the 10th of October.
Okay.
Oh, and, really?
Wow.
Yeah. It was out. It's came out like May 21st. Kind of like a beta type thing where it was beta like in May. They released some like free land and stuff for people to to put it on social media and stuff, I guess. So I think I heard about it more a few months after that, but I just came back to it on the 10th. Somehow I landed across. Now I'm pretty deep, yeah, like more than 10. You have to pay ETH to play it even a little bit, so I'm deep into it right now. Like 10 ETH.
Nice.
So basically, this is the first time I've used ETH this game. So
that's cute. That's awesome.
Right.
How long have you been in crypto? You said like 2014, right?
Yeah, I mean, I bought some Bitcoin in 2014 or something like that. I was actually mining a little bit too, on like a couple miners with a bunch of GPUs, and before that got worthless basically. And so just started playing this game because I've always been in the SimCity style games, and I was glad like SimCity came out a couple years ago after like a 10-year hiatus, so I was playing that for a little while, so kind of space, and this was right up my alley, so I just started playing it. And what's great about it is you get like dividends and stuff off of playing it basically. So if you just put a bunch of money into it and then stop putting it, you'll probably get all your money back, all your ETH back, maybe more if as long as you kind of put some time into it right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
That's what I kind of liked about it.
I mean, it, like, I was talking about, even like my older sister, like, she remembers Sim Ant and like all the Sim games, and like those like really resonated with her. And she's like, wait, there's a SimCity online that you can play and make money on? I was like, yeah, that's like what I learned about. So
yeah, that's like a thing. That's what we learned about live.
Yeah,
we're doing.
I'm so excited to deep dive into this guy. I'm gonna start tweeting it out, but and start managing maybe the chats and stuff. But you want me to pass the screen over to you, maybe give you kind of like the floor here, and so you can talk about it? I'll switch over to Discord.
Sure.
Share your screen.
Okay. This looks like I'm looking at you here.
Yep.
So yeah, MegaCryptoPolis.com is like their kind of homepage for the game, the descriptions and stuff, and you got the white paper that hasn't really been updated too much since they first released it. So a few things have changed in it, but kind of takes you through a roadmap. Like I said, the May it came out for kind of a beta thing, and then the 10th was public. So the actual game itself is kind of on a different URL at mcp.town. So if you go there, you can kind of get into the game. You do need a MetaMask to play it. You need some ETH to actually buy land and stuff on it. And I guess on that, I can kind of describe to you what the game kind of does. Basically, you have a 500 by 500 tile
district
country, like
the whole country.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you could call it a country, MCP country. So it's like 500 by 500 tiles. Not all the tiles are buildable.
Okay.
So within that country, you got a bunch of districts, and the main district that they originally started out with during the beta period was called Bounty Island, but all the other districts are like 1 to 150 or whatever. So you got this Bounty Island where all people played on it at the beginning. There hasn't really been a lot of stuff on it. I didn't play it, like I said. I just got into it when the public opened up, and so.
Do you know how many tokens are? You said it's an ERC721 game. Do you know how many tokens there are?
There is, I think there's around 16,000, I want to say.
Okay.
15,000, something like that. I think they're all released. I guess they did a mining period. I don't know how that all worked with them, but
Like an auction period?
Yeah, there's an auction mining type period. So I think they called there's a mining aspect to it. I don't know whatever mining you can do with a ERC7, how that all works, but.
Yeah, I don't think you did any mining because it was on Ethereum.
Well, they have. I've come across all these contracts that have a mining aspect, but it's not mining in the Bitcoin sense where you mine for Bitcoins. It's kind of.
It's more of a staking.
Right. Probably, I guess. I don't know much about it, but so that's what happened. And okay, so they have a white paper here that kind of takes you through everything, but the whole gist of it. So the whole gist of it is you got the districts. Let me get up to the top here. So you got Ethereum, you got to buy stuff with it. So you got these, the whole gist of it is you got the whole country, and then you got districts, which house all the land that you can buy. And each it's like tax. It's basically like in SimCity where there's taxes and stuff, kind of. But it's actually based on real money, Ethereum. So you can buy actually a whole district, and then you can collect the percentage of tax of. Okay, let me step back here. So a district houses a bunch of land, anywhere from a couple hundred tiles, individual buildings to a couple thousand. You can actually buy a district, and right now they're auctioning off a few districts for anywhere from up to 8 to 30 ETH, but it's a Dutch auction. So every time you bid on it, the timing of the auction goes back to 7 days or a week before you. And so every time you bid 7 days, you have to wait 7 more days until you can actually own it if nobody bids on it. So you got the districts that you can bid on and own, but the individual land blocks within the districts, the 500 by 500 is own or 721 ERC721 tokens. So those blocks of land are what you actually build on in the game. So if you zoom in here to the Bounty Island, each of these says soul on it. That's where you build on. So some already built on, and then you got the sold ones, and then you can actually resell them if you want to make back your ether. And trying not to. So you got that, and then so the taxing structure is you got like a global fund, where like so a percentage of every time you buy a piece of land, a percentage of that goes to the global fund. You know, I think a small percentage of that goes to like the developers, and then the global fund is like the whole country, and then the districts have kind of their own taxing, which actually is the district owner that bought that district will can actually set the tax from like 0 to 100%. So like anywhere starting out from 0.01 ETH to 0.02 ETH. When the land is completely barren, that's how much like a piece of land will cost, anywhere from 0.01 to 0.02 ETH. And then as on their white paper, whenever you buy a piece of land, the land around it within so many blocks actually goes up in price. So I'm trying to piece this all. Hopefully you guys are following this.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
So you got blocks.
So it's kind of not exactly like SimCity, but it's
right. Yeah, you don't have like people. You know, there's no like people that are moving in. At least not yet. They're, you know, the devs supposedly are working on extra features and stuff, but for right now it's just a simple point system, which they call an influence, and they do have like a mining aspect to it, but it's not really mining in the sense of like Farmville or anything like that. It's just like it's like a non-buildable piece of land, but you actually get like points for it and stuff. So they have a little bit of like a resource aspect to it, and then different buildings you can build with it, and then you got levels of buildings that you have to basically it costs more and more to upgrade a building in order to get more points, which gets you more dividends of ETH so how the dividends work, every 24 hours they calculate the dividends based on like your points, which is from now I'm gonna refer to influence, which is what they call it in the game. So the influences the amount of dividends you get every 24 hours, and each type of building will get you more or less dividends, and then if you build certain buildings together, you'll get more influence. If you build just like in SimCity influence, or if you have like your happiness goes down if like you have like a residential area next to a mining area. It's the same concept in here. It just messes with your influence and therefore your dividends. And they have kind of a graph what does what to the dependencies, they call it, and stuff. And they have like a an equation that tells you the taxes and stuff. I can't really follow that stuff. Like most people probably can't follow it, but it's and they got they got trading where you can buy and sell your own listings, your own pieces of land. So you can, if you want to buy and then sell it right away for like twice the price, you can try and do that. And as they were showing in your guys' stream, the last stream, like you got market when there's people trying to sell stuff for like 1,000 ETH, which is completely nuts, but to each his own, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
So the taxes I explained, and influence, and they got the better graph of like how stuff influences each other, and you got that. So let's go into the game, I guess. So in the game, you got the districts. You got a small map here, and then you got the districts, which is just kind of it's you can't tell what district each thing is, but if you click on one of these pieces of land, it'll say the district, and then it'll give you like the map grid of it, if you can buy it or not. And
is it a fun game to play?
Yeah, I mean, if you got enough ETH to play, it's pretty fun. So I mean, once you buy your buildings and upgrade enough to kind of get you settled, then it's kind of a waiting game after that. You can either keep holding your ETH inside the game, so every 24 hours it'll just keep adding up, and then you have to withdraw it, which costs gas. But you can just let it sit, and it's nice to see that bit of money, that bit of ETH come in every 24 hours. So I mean, guys, if that's your thing, then it's fun. And they've got they got a Discord thing that's somewhat, people are in it and talking about the game and stuff. So I mean, that aspect is, the social aspect is kind of lacking in the actual website. But if you go like Discord, there's a little. So they're kind of lacking the whole social aspect of it, at least on the game itself.
Okay.
So yeah, it's it's fun if you're got some ETH and you're into the SimCity stuff. You like getting back dividends. So let's see here. If you go to so there's levels of buildings when you start building your land, basically. So you buy a piece of land if you click on it, and you can buy it right now. Like this piece of land is half an ETH, just because there's already a lot of purchased land around it within like it's a 7x7 block. So if the more land you have built up or bought around you, the more it costs to buy that piece of land. So if you buy,
interesting.
you can click buy, and then it'll do a meta. So this is all transaction-based game. It's completely, pretty much completely dependent on the blockchain.
Can you do a Control Plus zoom in, like maybe full screen and everything? Because we're working with 720p, yeah.
Oh yeah. So let's see here.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
So can we see the mechanic? Like, try to buy something. Like, does it pop up with that annoying MetaMask, or is it own MetaMask?
No, you have to have MetaMask to run it.
To run it, but does it use its annoying dialogue box? That's kind of what I want to see.
Yeah, if I want to try and buy this 950 ETH.
So it looks nice. Oh, there it is.
So yeah, if you have
God
to do the whole MetaMask thing. So that's probably why it's not as. I mean, it's pretty popular because it's on the DApp radar, like top 4 DApp radar. It has, since it opened up October 10th, it's been basically been on the top 10, and it's got like 200 users or so right now. Like 2,000 people have different ETH addresses have actually bought into it or have land on it. So it's so when you buy, the MetaMask comes up. And let's see here.
Or did we post this in their Discord?
We did.
So once you do a building, so there's different buildings you can build. Let's see if I've got some open land. I gotta bring up here if I can zoom back out a little bit. So I've bought a few pieces of land, and I just opened up a district. So I've bought a bunch of pieces of land. There's different strategy games. Maybe I can do that a little bit too, but so there, I just thought about this strategy this past couple of days, is where they're opening up new districts. There's only a few that are going to be opened up, and then basically supposedly they're going to shut it down to any more land that you can buy, or any more land that'll open up in a district. Mm-hmm. So whenever a new district opens up, which is entirely dependent on the person that bought it, you got this kind of small window where you could buy like pieces of land in sections of the thing, so that if you buy a piece of land here, anything within that 7 block radius or 3 block radius, I guess it's 3.5 or 4 block radius, but if you buy a piece of land, then anything around there, you'll get dividends out of that. So like I actually did that for this new district, and I've got back so far 0.02 ETH because I bought in, and then people bought around me. So you get actually, every time somebody buys around you, you get a piece of that. So okay, so I'm going to show you like a piece of land on here I bought. So if I wanted to build on there, you can build on it, and that's when you start making the dividends from the global and district tax fund, is when you build on something. So they got different styles of, I guess you could style land. You got the residential, and it doesn't really matter what you do. It's all the same building type.
I think like the coolest part about this game, and like one of the reasons it's so interesting, is the fact that you can make money on it. Like literally,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
like that's just so awesome. Like it's not even like derivative money. Like if you stream and you get sponsored or something like that, like people get paid. This is like legit. You could be great at it and just make tax revenue for like a long time.
Right.
So legit.
For sure.
I like, how does it keep funded? Like continuously, like just people buying new land, they expect it
Yeah,
to grow,
basically, it has to, the only way to grow is for people to buy land and to upgrade their buildings. So yeah,
bizarre.
And when you're building land, you got choices to pick from, and the choice kind of depicts on how much you can upgrade and how much percentage, like how much influence you get, which in turn, you know, makes your dividends go up or down. So you got residential, business, they call it office, and then you got utilities, which is cops and hospitals and stuff, and then you got a supermarket, which is a commercial style building, and then you got mining, which you have to build next to the resource tile in order to like gain any amount of influence. And you got energy and mining. So, and then so if you build something, probably build something. So,
dude, this is so clever. This is a good idea. Like, I don't know like longevity of it, like as far as like forever, but it looks like it's super fun. Like I'm sure this is gonna go hard for a while.
Right. This is just like their 2D version, HTML5, and the devs seem like they're getting close to putting out a 3D version, more like what SimCity is actually, where you can zoom in and out. I think they haven't really put out much information on what it's going to look like, but they have little bits and pieces here and there. So
I feel like this is the future of gaming and stuff like this. Like that's like on your phone and stuff like that. Like having like shares in it, more people play it. Like you can definitely apply this concept in different ways, which is like,
oh yeah,
kind of a little bit foreign to what our current experience is, but very interesting nonetheless.
Right. So like if you build something, you want to pick something that'll influence each, kind of basically you want to get in the most influence you can in order to get the most dividends. So you build up what'll either you can kind of build out your own area, which is I did in some of my places, or you can kind of help build out so other people you can kind of do a community type thing where you can build out so that other people can build up their stuff, because they have to have certain buildings together within a certain distance of blocks in order to get more influence. So if I built a mine right here, that would be negative influence on these guys. So they, obviously wouldn't like that. But so there's that whole negging aspect of it, where you can remove other people's influence and gain influence. But if you build like a hospital here or something, then these guys might be able to build up a higher level. And so let's get to the levels part, where if you go to, you got a highest level, or you got the biggest building, which is basically 4 tiles of the same type of building, and then there's levels from 1. You got your first level, which is your initial building, and then it goes up to level 5, which is these types of buildings, the small buildings, and then you can build up bigger level 6, which is the 2 together.
Yeah.
So if I hit manage on this one, it'll let me upgrade to a higher level, which then the influence will kind of multiply on itself. So you get, your dividends go up each day. And then, so the dividends actually, like you can keep kind of building throughout the day, and it only matters at that, clock tick of every 24 hours, what your influence is at that point in time. Because obviously, with the contract being entirely, on Ethereum mainnet, where they can't like put all these different calculations in, and it can consume so much gas. So it has to be done, just every 24 hours. It calculates what's happening at that exact time, and then that's what your percent dividend is. So what else is there? So you got like the strategies where you can just buy a bunch of lands kind of randomly, and then people build around you. Then you got the strategy of, you know, trying to find the one that has the most influence. And what people have come across seems like is there's just one type of building, commercial, where it basically, the influence builds up the fastest with the least amount of like resources around you, types of buildings around you. So you can get up to like 150,000 influence or whatever, and that's about. So influence kind of calculates, like right now I've got 210,000 influence, which is, if you go to collect here, it's like 0.71% of global amount of influence. Everybody's influence summed up, I've got 0.71%. And then, so then that's a 0.171%. You times that by like, so there's a point, every day, 0.3% of the global tax fund is distributed, or is it? It's 3%. Sorry, 3%. So like right now it's at about 200. So every day it'll be 6 ETH will be distributed.
Sure.
And then I think the entirety of the district fund gets distributed every day, possibly, or it might be just 3%. But so 6 ETH would be distributed in 2 hours or 2.5 hours from. So if I maintain this 0.71, I will get 6 ETH times 0.007. That's right. I'll get 0.04. That might not be right, because last time I had the same amount of influence. I think I got about 0.2. So there's some other calculation. Gets a pretty good chunk, I think, compared to the amount I put in there. So
yeah.
And then you got historical stuff, and I posted a thing. Let's see here. Hey, where did I post that? That stuff, do I? Oh, I put it in that. Okay, I put it in MCP in this document I put up. Somebody's been making a graph of it all. It's basically grown since it opened up publicly, except for like one day where it went down like a small percentage. But it's been growing, pretty regularly over the past couple weeks since it started. You can kind of go by that. So yeah, what else is there? So this is like an open source contract. We can probably get into that. They've got a link to this to their GitHub at mcp-town/contracts, where they have their actual contracts. I don't know if you guys want to get into that now, or if you had any more questions about the actual gameplay.
Not too much. I mean, I think I try to post this up on a couple different forums here, but welcome everybody to the live stream. I don't think there's a ton of people on right now, but if you guys have any questions, definitely post them in here. But I'm trying to monitor, and I can't load Periscope right now to see what's going on there. Eric, do you have that up? Or no? You there, Eric? Oh, okay.
One thing I did quick. If you want to get a bunch of influence and not spend a lot, you want to watch their marketplace where people sell and buy their stuff, their land, piece of land. And what you want to do is, what I did was I went to resources. You can filter out and then put a price ascending for the amount of ETH you want to spend. And then you want to look at this influence thing, and you want to try to get the, pay the least amount, most influence. And I actually wrangled up one of these resource things for, I got 15,000, which is like, a tenth of, or yeah, a tenth of what I have right now. I actually bought a piece for maybe, for like half of what it was actually worth, current marketplace type stuff. So if you want to maybe do something like that, you can kind of arbitrage the marketplace, just try and get, buy the least amount. But you also want to make sure you can look at where that piece of land is, especially if it's not a resource. You want to look at where that land lands on the district.
Yeah,
so you don't kind of get screwed that way. But it's hard to get screwed in this game. Most people are just kind of building on their own. I think that's what I'm doing, is just building on their.
Yeah, it looks
not
like
really worrying too much about what people are doing around them.
Yeah, looks like we got about 8 people in chat right now. So if you guys do have any questions, definitely hit us up in the chat. I'm monitoring it on Twitch and anybody on YouTube. I'm pulling up Periscope right now too. It's just taking a little second to load here, but yeah, I mean, so like, real quick, I'm opening this.
You can tell them to subscribe.
Yeah, definitely subscribe.
Ring those bells.
We do all kinds of stuff on hacking and whatnot. Alright, thanks.
Yeah, we're just we're doing some DApp exploration here.
Yeah, it's fluctuating. I posted it in the SimCity thread on Reddit and a couple other places. So, DApp. So.
Like, yeah,
let's go
to.
Let's check out this code real quick. Yeah, it sounds like that.
All right.
So
they have their kind of have it separated into different things, and then they got the interfaces and stuff. So
can we look at the code through your monitor? Since we're doing a code dive, can you take over for that? I can't read this.
I can zoom in here. Sorry. Better?
Not really. It's just because you're 720. You're not 1080.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, can you take over?
Yeah, let me pull down. Let me go to the Git.
He's gonna go to the Git.
Go to your screen.
Hold on.
So I was trying to hack this contract kind of to kind of figure out an algo or something to figure out like the best land to purchase or something like that. I just their contract address stuff it's hard to figure out because they got like one contract address I found, but it only seems to work off of a couple of the contracts that on their GitHub. So I think they're linking, kind of interfacing between
their GitHub right
now.
So
I was trying to hack stuff. I only got so far, and I'm only at this, or I'm not, any good at this type of stuff yet.
Where's the GitHub? Oh, okay, GitHub. They don't have it on their website. Eric, is it in that?
I think it's on that document. I
might have closed it on accident.
Pretty sure I put it on the.
Yeah, I'm gonna put MCP.
That's right.
Got it. All right. Let's go here. Cool. All right. Eric, can you see that clear?
Only when it's zoomed in.
Right there. Good.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Cool. So going into this code here, let's see. Maybe can I make it a little bit smaller? Better. Is that okay? Very cool. MegaCryptoPolis, bug bounty campaigns, blah blah blah.
There's not much for documentation.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. So let's see what they got written here. Standard select.
I think they have. Yeah, I think this one's like they have a couple of them where it's like the initial auction mining of the land, and then they have the ones that kind of used mainly for the game itself for transactions in between. So.
Sure. So
I could figure. Like the bulk of it is in like the land.sol, and then the influence.sol is the bulk of where the magic happens.
Okay, so which contract should I look? I'm sorry, where's the majority? Where should I go?
There's a land.sol, and then the influence.sol.
Okay, got it. Cool. All right, import.
The land one is the one I could. Yeah, they got the imports option.
All right. Mapping.
Internal stuff.
Group, land token, public. Why do you use a balance sheet contract? Bunch initialization. Okay, and then intervals, auction fees. So this is basically the rules that they were talking about in the white paper here, right?
Right.
And then token push, land token. So they create a token for this contract and issue that around. Okay. Main contract, region. Okay, so this is the map. These are just the X and the Y values. Eric, how does that differ from what you guys are doing at Texels? Do you have similar type stuff?
Say it one more time.
Do you have a similar layout to this? Main contract, set resources, influence, like not the influence portion, but rather like the mapping. You guys just do X and Y coordinates.
Well, mapping is just a function.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought that was a different thing. I thought it was talking about the visualization. I didn't realize that. Map XY. Yeah, dude. No, that's what I am talking about. I'm talking about that definitely. So, like, is it very similar outlaid as far as like location? Is it like very standard that you guys, because your pixels are located in a specific area, it would just be XY function like that with like a an I value?
Actually, we don't store X and Y now.
Okay.
Actually, you can derive X and Y from just one number. So if you have like 0, 0.
Yeah, I see.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and we have 4,096 tokens, so it's 64 by 64.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that. That makes sense.
Like the actual token itself is where its position is, so actually it takes care of 2 data points right there.
So you don't multiply them. You just kind of cut the integer in half or something, or
It's modular.
if you multiply them, you can have one, like two numbers, like 4, say 4 and 4, or 4 and 5. You could have that, could mean, that would be 20, but like 5 and 4 would be the same thing. So you couldn't like put. How does that work with you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it's a modulus.
Oh.
Yeah, so they split down. Modulus basically takes the dividend from. I'm sorry,
remainder.
Your remainder, yeah. The remainder from the actual equation, and it calculates it out. So we did this problem, for instance, that was like one of probably the most confusing problems I ever had in computer programming, was trying to find the least common denominator using modulus, which is not really that hard, but I guess it's kind of like a new concept, right? When they first presented it to you.
It's not really a new concept. That's kind of how we like.
I'm talking about
take remainders.
Dude, I'm talking about an educational, when you start at college, when you start there and you're sitting there, and then like you're trying to figure out like why I need the remainder using modulus, because usually the way you typically calculate it was like long division, so you had to like figure out exactly what the remainder was using modulus, and it was just a little bit different to plug it in a black box and have it come out the other end. And like everybody in the class failed it. I remember it was like just really confusing for everybody. Maybe we weren't that sharp, but it's totally possible. Anyways, continuing on. Yeah, man, this is pretty just uninteresting, really dry stuff right here. Like tokens, mapping, building levels, like all the things you're talking about in the game, where you have these different types of squares and different types of value are getting calculated out here. Auction bids, yeah. Okay, auction payouts. This is kind of interesting.
Well, what are we looking at? We're just screaming by code. Let's go through.
Yeah, what do you want to go through? What do you want to highlight? It's just basically
everything. Well, how does it work?
All right. So this is creating the map, right here with the UNIT, resources, region, token ID, and buy price. And then this land token right here is just giving you the values of the actual token that they're creating. And then that's something that John May was talking about. See, I'm not the best at Solidity, but mapping it. This is mapping the cell in the public map. pacing.
Well, these are like where the actual things are stored on the contract. So when you see mapping, it's like actually declaring like a space.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can say UN8, but really like that key value pair is not present.
What do you mean, right here?
No. See, mapping is interesting because it's kind of like JavaScript where you have the key value relationship.
Sure.
You know, like inside of like a JSON document. So it's kind of like a JSON-esque way of like saying, oh, I'm mapping this key to this value. So that UN 256 is mapped to an address now, in a public and approved function.
Rocket hash. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, what's a rocket hash? What the heck is that?
This?
It says rocket.
We call it a rocket hash in Ruby.
A rocket hash?
Yeah, I've never heard that. Never looked it up, I guess.
I think the yield signed is
Hash rocket.
usually what it's called.
Hash rocket.
Hash rocket. Moving familiar. Infamous and moving into. Right there. So hash rocket. I'm sorry.
Versus JSON. Yeah, so you have like that key value pair.
Yeah. But they call it the hash rocket. Sorry, not a rocket hash. Misspoke. Dyslexia. Yeah, but.
Noise.
See, this is.
Rocket power.
Yeah. They don't probably call them hash rockets, though. You probably just call them pointers or a key value pair.
Or yields.
What's the operator? Yeah. What do you call the operator in that?
So I don't. Maybe you want to get into like how the influence is calculated or something specific instead of trying to go through all of this. I don't know if you.
Oh,
like,
we're trying to. We have mint land. Like we don't know anything about that. Like,
right.
Like what the hell is hidden inside?
Do you want to
stuff?
get into how they?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Started the contract, or I don't know. I'm just trying to help you guys, guide you guys into what you want to look, because there's a lot.
I'm kind of lost in here a little bit, but like, yeah, I mean, it's quite a bit
for sure.
But okay,
it's got going on, and it doesn't have good comments.
You want to get into how it was minted out and stuff, or I don't know.
Yeah, mint land. Let's check it out.
Mint land right here. Okay, mint land.
No, this is not JavaScript. This is JavaScript. Is that what you're saying? Or is this a .sol? Ah, this is
Solidity.
.sol.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Only the manager, whoever that is, can use this function.
Yeah, so it's not private. So see, it takes in a number array, 3 number arrays, the buy price on an address array, and the address array is a little bit different because it's its own data type.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing they're creating the individual pieces of land, you know, because there's all these different types of pieces of land that there's only a few that you can actually build on. It's probably what they're doing here is building that district with the buyable land and stuff.
Okay.
Because
that's mint is usually the word that we use for like creating the actual token.
Right.
So now like we put it on this metadata.
They're building up the storage, the mapping of.
Yeah, and they start using higher order functions here. So we push another token to the top of the stack. I mean, if you go down a little bit, let's go down. Okay, so yeah, it looks like they're building it up. Yeah, they're pushing that to the top of the stack. Land token, which is probably another function that takes an owner, a token type, a building ID, a seed, and tough ID. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then it emits a transfer at the end. And that's super important. So every time that a new token has been created, it'll do an emit. And we could probably search for that on the chain.
Okay. You want me to find the contract address real quick? You want to pull that up?
No, let's just keep reading.
Okay.
Let's try to chunk through the contract.
Okay. So
set on auction. That seems pretty boring. Let's see what else we got. Payout. What's up with that?
External only manager.
Add to balance. It's interesting to see how they do it. Like, they divide the amount of tokens through a divider. What's the divider? How's that? Interesting. Cancel auction. Only the token owner can cancel it. Nice.
Okay, so this is pretty dry. You want to really chunk through all the code here, or do you want to just keep continuing to like show up?
I wanted to see the juicy bits. The mint function's one of the juicier bits. Demolition.
This is burn a token. So.
No, you build what you built onto it, or remove the building.
Only manage your return.
Land.
Okay, so you have the orientation, so how you can see how it's like where it's facing, and require if it's on an auction to map the actual token. The resources and the token ID have dot building level need to be greater than 1. The orientation is set. Okay, so you know it's like which way it's spinning on the graph. It's like 3D, kind of. It's like isometric.
Sure. Okay.
It's not really in the game right now, though. Worry about.
But that's not in the game right now.
Not that I can tell. It's just kind of all one way. You can't spin it around the map, at least right now. So
probably. Well, it's isometric.
It's like future.
You still need to know. Yeah, you still need to know its orientation, even if it's isometric. Because you're seeing like more than one dimension when it's at 270.
Right.
All right, let's keep on chunking. Blah blah blah. Get price. That's cool. Blah blah blah. Can buy.
Into map.
Merge token.
That's when you create the bigger.
Oh, okay.
Huge when you merge like 2 pieces of buildings into 1 or 4.
See, I didn't even know about that. Now I am. Now I'm like, I have no idea you can merge.
Yeah,
but that's important because that's 2 tokens.
Yeah, he was talking about when you're building some of the bigger structures.
Right.
Like the skyscrapers. It requires that you have multiple pieces of land, correct?
Right. And then, like, you have to pick a certain block in that 2x2 or 2x1 or 2x2 in order for the game. So there's some
you break it.
A piece of land.
A little bit there. All right, moving on.
And did it, but oh.
Okay, get buildings, not really that crazy. You guys still with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, what's anything else that you want to cover?
Not really, man. I mean, I'm just scrolling through here.
I think we aggressively went pretty granular.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here's the rest of the normal app. Here's the normal ERC721 at the end of this. You have your local transfer approval, and then you have land payout. That's nice.
For sure. Yeah. So, I guess that's pretty much it, unless we want to dive into the actual game itself. Continuing on. There's not really too much to it. Like, yeah, a bunch of functions, land. Influence.
Main interface.
Interface?
Main interface. No, main interface.
Oh, got it.
Influence is the one that's probably the other one that's more about the gameplay. I don't know if that.
This is just declaring the basic.
Yeah, how the main.
Yeah, so influence.
Oh, so main interface would be like the contract that's deployed where you talk to it.
Yeah.
Right.
So if it's the main interface, we should know where that address is if we wanted to actually like do calls. Because that makes sense on like a larger scale game. You want to do that.
Get side effects. That's what you're talking about as far as the value of land decreasing, right?
Right.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. And then add region to share bank, which is with the districts, I would assume, or the area within the influence sphere of like what you put in there. Let's calculate a region. Down. Add side effects. What's this side effect? Storage. Okay, so that's for a storage unit. Or I'm sorry, no.
Mm-hmm. Well, storage is I think is a keyword.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I'm just looking here, trying to read through this. Mark for demolition. Okay, so these are just essentially inter-game functions, like very granular, super granular stuff. Like,
all right, let's get granular, boy.
Well, I'm trying to find another, like an interesting one. Get current balance value.
I know what I found really interesting is just like on the blockchain how I could not figure out where, because it seems like they have different contract addresses, like they kind of talk to each other externally, and there's only like one I could figure out that it wasn't this one, is the one previous, the land.sol was the one I could find, but it seems from just a little bit of programming I did to try and make calls on the influenced one, I couldn't figure out the right contract address, or either that or I was just being dumb and it wasn't sending the right thing. But I used a Go Ethereum thing, and that because they don't have the actual ABI code up, so I had to manually do it.
Oh, they don't have the ABI
Ethereum
ready?
No. So I compiled that with the Go Ethereum, and I was trying to run the requests against it on mainnet, and just I couldn't figure out. But it's somehow they're talking to each other, like maybe finding the transactions where you can see that talking, if that's possible. I don't know. I don't know if you're following me or not, but that's kind of where I was at. I was just trying to figure out how.
Yeah, my first thing would be looking for. Yeah, I want to find out with that main interface. Where is that contract?
Like I found the land one.
They found land. They should be all connected, talking to each other.
Right.
So
and then I was on DApp Radar. They have like the beginning of the contract addresses on there. Somehow they figured that out. And there's only the one that I know what the whole address is, but on DApp Radar they truncate it for some reason. It's super annoying.
Well, I think maybe we can go through it and try to expose it.
Well, Eric, we did a basic rundown of the game. What else would you like to do?
I think that we're good.
All right, cool. Well, James, I appreciate you hopping on and just kind of talking about there, just so we have a little resource and breakdown of how to play it and stuff. We should definitely talk about some more stuff as this game comes out, maybe it improves and kind of community grows and stuff. But the land contract is here. You just sent that to me. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to continue or what. But like I don't know. They have like older. It seems like I think they're upgrading it. Or they might have upgraded it. So I think I don't know if you guys think that the contract address could move because of that.
It probably would. It would work. Yeah, if they made a new. No, see, that's what I'm saying is that The main interface is probably the one that continues to stay there and
Right.
stay consistent, which allows you to kill a contract and then redeploy it. I'm going through the same similar process with my DApp right now, where our old contracts are kind of outdated to the point where we don't want to have that up there. So I should make a main interface.
What we got there?
I was trying to use the developer tools to see if I can see the network calls, but I think they use WebSockets or something, so you can't like see the actual calls
Oh, okay.
to the Ethereum.
You sure can. Yeah, all you got to do is go look at your Ethereum. Well, you have to look at the entire Ethereum blockchain, but
Right.
stream.
I was trying to see if I could see it through the network calls on the Chrome.
Oh no, you would have to look through it. You would have to pull the admit database, the event database.
Right.
Well, that's pretty much it, man. I just kind of wanted a brief overview of what was going on here. I feel like I have some insight on how to buy land and whatnot, which is really cool. And maybe like some of this is just gonna have to be like gameplay learned. You know what I mean, Eric? Like, like how this like all integrates and get a real feel for it. I'm excited to see what they do with 3D, as opposed to like HTML5. But that's, I mean, this is Angular. Eric.
Wow.
I mean, I think you could build like a simple dApp that allow, or arbitrage it. It'd be something pretty simple if you could figure out the contrasts and stuff.
Yeah, I think
Check it out.
I'd definitely like to maybe do some of that in the future.
Actually going to go get something to eat, guys, but thank you for coming on stream.
Yeah, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And
to be honest,
let's stay in touch, and let's maybe do a little bit bigger deep dive on this, maybe like that DApp idea, but sometime in the future as it kind of grows out. But this is cool. I'm definitely going to play around with this. I appreciate your time, James. Everybody watching, thank you.
Yeah, have a good one.